Discussion on price rise to be held next week. Suspended MPs could be brought back if they apologize. Day 3 of Sonia Gandhi's ED questioning in the National Herald probe. Congress chief says late leader Motilal Vora handled all the Herald deals. Bengal cash for jobs scam just got bigger. Partha Chatterjee, the minister, accused of getting jobs now for relatives of his bodyguard using fabricated documents. ED says the TMC minister is feigning ignorance. BJP Yuva Morcha leader butchered by bike-borne assailants in Karnataka's Dakshin Kannada district. Saffron groups take out a stir, claim role of radical PFI and SDPI. Unending school death horror in Tamil Nadu. Now 17-year-old boy ends life in Shivaganga. Fifth suspected suicide of students in 11 days. Civil aviation regulator cracks down on SpiceJet after the airline reported a series of snags. SpiceJet ordered to cut down flight operations by 50% for the next 8 weeks. Sensex rebounds after a 2-day break, ends 547 points higher. And Ukraine President Zelensky poses with wife for a fashion magazine as war ravages country. Global criticism over tone-deaf and insensitive pictures. But the story that's breaking this evening, Parliament logjam is finally set to end after almost 2 weeks. Finally, the Modi government says it's ready to discuss price rise next week, and the price rise debate will now likely take place on Monday. The suspension of MPs in the Lok Sabha could also be revoked if they issue an apology. That's coming from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Pralhad Joshi, who has just spoken to me a short while ago. Let's listen in. Remember, it's been a stormy monsoon session in both houses of Parliament. In a span of just 3 days, a total of 24 MPs from both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have been suspended. Today, the latest to be suspended was the Aam Aadmi Party, Sanjay Singh. The suspended MPs are now holding a relay drive. They are protesting outside Parliament. The suspensions occurred in the backdrop of the opposition demanding a debate on issues like price rise, GST hike and Chinese encroachment into Indian territory. Well, a short while ago, I spoke to the man in charge, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. Listen in to Pralhad Joshi. And joining me now is the country's Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Pralhad Joshi. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Joshi. As many as 24 opposition MPs have been already suspended. The opposition says this is an attempt to silence them from raising issues like price rise. You are trying to intimidate them by suspending them. How do you respond, sir?
No, I don't think there is actually, in fact, if you can ask me, there is no need to respond because I have responded on the house, on the floor of the house, and I have responded outside the house before the media persons. And from the day one, we are telling, and I am telling on behalf of the government that we are ready for the discussion. And yesterday also I told that Honorable FM may come back to house at any time, and we are ready for the discussion. And today morning she has already come. Today also said if you want to start the discussion, you can, right now you can start. And anybody should show the courtesy that if somebody is not well, then they should wait for a week or so. There is nothing wrong in that. That also I conveyed and I have personally spoken to them. Government wants discussion and government is ready for the discussion. This I have conveyed it to Honorable Leader of the House, Honorable Leader of the Opposition in Rajya Sabha and Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary in Lok Sabha and many other leaders. I have properly conveyed it, and if they don't want the discussion, how can I help them? I have already told them. Today also I told in the Lok Sabha, probably you might have seen that.
No, Mr. Minister, you're saying that the opposition doesn't want a discussion. They are saying that the government refuses to set a clear time frame within which the discussion will take place. You're only making general statements that we are ready for a discussion. They claim the FM's illness was used as an excuse by you to delay a decision on price rise, inflation and GST hikes. That you have not given a clear time frame within which you are ready for a discussion. Therefore, they were forced to bring in adjournment motions. They were forced to raise the issue in the House.
Rajdeep, you can see my statement today morning in the Lok Sabha. She has already come. I said I am ready today, now itself. If you want the discussion in the Lok Sabha, first let us have in the Lok Sabha, because FM should be present in the both the house when there is a discussion is going to be held. I said first I want to start in the Lok Sabha if you all wish so, and you start the discussion now. If they are not ready, what can I do? I have only said, I have communicated them that FM is recovering and her test will be done very shortly, and as soon as she comes, we will have the discussion. And this was duly communicated them, and today she has come back, and I am right now I said, even if you want to bill and other things, tomorrow we can discuss. If you are ready, we are ready, government is ready. This is also I have communicated, then the floor of the house also I have said that they are not ready today, that we don't want to discuss today. I have said I am ready today.
But Mr. Joshi, you know, this practice of
she sat in the Rajya Sabha.
But Mr. Joshi, this practice, sir, with due with due regard, this practice of suspending MPs. Now, you know, this is again being seen like a red flag. You might recall, Mr. Joshi, that there was a session in 2010, winter session. Entire session was suspended by the BJP when they were in opposition over the 2G scam. At that time, no one was suspended. Now the government seems to have adopted a stance that if the opposition crosses what you believe is a red line, you will suspend them. As a result, you are only widening the friction. You are not letting the house run. It is your responsibility to let the house run.
No, Rajdeep ji, please try to understand. We have, from 18th session is on, we have talked to them, we have tried to convince them, and I have also said, even if you want to resist, even if you want to protest, you can protest, but don't show the placards, and don't show the placards exactly in front of the speaker's face, in front of the chairman's face, and don't climb the steps of the where speaker and chairman sits, and don't tear the paper, and don't throw the books. These are all the things we are requesting them, and even I have requested, and chairman himself he has requested, speaker himself, if they every time if they cross the line and from days together if they don't allow to run the function and deliberately violate the direction of the speaker and the chairman, what can be done, you tell me? And I have told today also,
Sir,
I have told
what the impression speaker, the opposition
when they
sir,
demanded,
the impression the opposition gives me, sir, the impression the opposition gives me is that the impression the opposition gives me is that you are not interested in talking to them, in breaking the ice. In between sessions, why can't you meet the opposition and break the ice? Because we are finding in every session now, something or the other results in a breakdown in Parliament and then a logjam. We saw it last time in the monsoon session last year over Pegasus. This time we are seeing it over price rise. The point is are you reaching out to them between sessions and trying to resolve this trust deficit? There seems to be a trust deficit between you, i.e. the government, and the opposition.
I said to you, I have spoken to them, and Piyush Goyal ji has spoken to them, and even today we have spoken to them. And we are ultimately what we can do, we can request them, and we have already said, I have already said, and Piyush ji has already said, when I spoke to FM, when she is likely to be recovered and get the negative certificate of the COVID, she had indicated me that this week it will happen. Then I have conveyed that this week she is likely to come back, and we will have the discussion the day on which she comes, and this is communicated. And I said there are other issues, there are other bills, you kindly participate. Even in those bills, whatever you want to criticize, you can criticize. This is all duly communicated on the record, means on the floor of the house also, and personally to them also. I have spoken them. I told I can give my call records to even over telephone who have spoken, and after the adjournment I have spoken to them, and I have spoken, Piyush ji has spoken. What else we can do? And see, basically what has happened, I would like to tell you, Rajdeep.
Sir,
see, they don't want to...
One minute, what is the problem then? Sir, if you are saying... Sir, yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, they are not ready to digest that the people have given mandate, and ultimately whatever policy decision and whatever the decision we are taking, they can criticize, but ultimately people have given us the mandate and we are running the government. They are not digesting that. They are as if feeling that we are especially Congress party and even some other party, they are feeling that they have only got to write the rule, and these people are somehow they have come and we should not allow them to function. This is the what attitude they are showing. This is what is very painful. This is ultimately democracy. They should accept that people have given the mandate and we are running the government, and we are with folded hands we are requesting them to allow the run smoothly, house to run this smoothly. They are not cooperating, and we have gone and with folded hands we have requested them.
No, so what is the solution? You are saying you have folded your hands, you have spoken to them, but clearly that has not resolved the issue. My question to you, sir, and I'm asking this not just as a journalist but as a citizen, a taxpayer, we are watching what is happening every day in Parliament. There is a sense that you want to push the opposition into being seen as disruptors. You want to, in a way, convince the public at large that they are disruptors, they are wasting taxpayers' time and money. But at the end of the day, what is the solution? Is there a solution, sir, to ensure that Parliament functions effectively?
See,
we need a constructive opposition and a responsive government.
No, I think according to me, we are quite responsive and responsible government, and we are requesting them to be constructive opposition, and we are even now. Today I have told you just assure, I have just few minutes back I have told in the Lok Sabha, you just assure that you will not bring the placards and you will not put it in front of the speaker's face. If you assure that and you allow us to run the parliament smoothly, then if speaker directs us, we are ready to move a resolution and withdraw and let the house function. They are not ready, and I told yesterday for tearing the papers and throwing it on the chairman, you express regret. They are not ready for that. Then also, anyhow, as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, their suspension is going to end on Friday, and we are ready to take discussion next week, because all the opposition parties, they have requested that we should start the price rise discussion on a Monday or Tuesday. For that also I agreed, because I wanted to do it on tomorrow. But they said tomorrow we will not be there, our members are not there, you do it from Monday. We have said okay for that. Let them cooperate from Monday, at least. As soon as this price rise discussion start, let them cooperate.
So you
we
are
okay
telling me,
with that. We are ready for any discussion.
So you are telling me you are ready to withdraw their suspension, provided they give you an assurance that they will not use placards in the House, nor will they disrupt the proceedings. Am I correct? You are ready to withdraw the suspension also.
Yeah, you are perfectly. Yeah, if the leaders of the respective party they assure that we are ready to withdraw.
And you are also, let me get this clear, ready to discuss all issues. For example, one issue which the opposition wants to discuss is the border tangle with China. Are you ready to discuss all these contentious issues? Are you open to all of them? Or will the government now dictate terms? The opposition says government will dictate terms to the opposition.
See, there is no question of dictating term. There are some sensitiveness, there are sensitive issues. At that time, the concerned minister and the opposition leaders, they are speaking, and we will arrange the meeting also as a nodal ministry for the parliament. We will arrange that. But at present, their insistence is on the price rise, and for which we have agreed. And they have also agreed.
Mr. Pralhad Joshi, I appreciate your talking to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the big news coming in there, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister is claiming that the government is going ahead with the discussion on price rise and inflation. It will come most probably on Monday, he says, and they are ready to revoke the suspension of the MPs if their leaders apologize for their behavior in the House. It's a good point on which to go to two of those suspended MPs. Sushmita Dev is suspended Trinamool Congress MP, and I'm also joined by Jyoti Mani, suspended Congress MP, and Rahul Srivastav, our National Affairs Editor, also joins us. Sushmita Dev, it appears at the moment that the Parliamentary Affairs Minister is saying you apologize and you can come back to the House. How do you respond, Sushmita Dev, to what you've just heard from Pralhad Joshi?
Rajdeep, let me tell you something. Exactly what happens outside the parliament is what's going on inside the parliament, and who's orchestrating it is the government. Anytime we ask for a debate that actually would criticize the government, it is either delayed or it's denied. 27 days in the budget session, we continuously asked for a debate on the price rise, we were denied. Since this session started, we realized that Nirmala Sitharaman ji is not well, and we told the chair there is no problem, let the debate start, let the food minister or any senior minister hear the debate and reply, we have no issues. There's an urgency in the matter. See, Parliament reflects the mood of the nation. Today, if parliamentarians are seen sitting in the parliament and only debating bill after bill and not raising the issues that are impacting the nation, what is the message to the...
No, Sushmita Dev, I'm asking you, did you hear what the Parliamentary Affairs Minister said? He said very clearly that he is more than willing to have a debate on price rise. It will happen on Monday. He's saying he's even willing to revoke all suspensions, provided party leaders apologize for bringing placards into the House, for throwing paperweights at the Speaker's chair.
Rajdeep, let me tell you something. This leads to this inside.
Okay, we'll try and come back to Sushmita in a moment. There's a problem with the signal. Jyotimani, you want to take that question? You've just heard from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. You apologize. You can come back to the House. There is a way, a decorum that he says has to be followed. Government is ready now to discuss all issues, including price rise.
Why should we apologize? What for we have to apologize? What mistake we have committed? What decorum we have disturbed? You have seen how they treated women MPs today. Is this the decorum and the dignity of this government? See, let me tell you, Rajdeep, we haven't done anything in the Lok Sabha. We haven't tore the paper. We haven't gone near by the chair.
You've taken placards. No, 1 minute. I'm going to show those pictures. I will ask my producer to show those pictures. You are accused of taking placards and surrounding the Speaker's chair, which as per the rules that have been set of Parliament is a violation. Producer, those pictures, please.
Rajdeep.
Yes.
Rajdeep.
Yes.
Even before, when the Congress government was there, the same BJP was in opposition. They have done the same. This has been done for ages. It's not first time we the one who carried the placards. Second thing, we will carry the placards because the price rise is an issue affecting the people. GST is an issue affecting the people. Milk, curd, pencil, hospital ICUs, what not this government is left with. So this is a common man is affected by this price rise. Gas cylinder is 1053 rupees. I carried that placard. Is it wrong? Gas cylinder is not selling for 1053 rupees, which ordinary people are not afford. My colleagues actually carry the placards of GST on milk, dahi, etc., etc. Is it wrong? It's not happening. It is the government actually who is behaving arrogant with the people. Second thing, we haven't shown that placard in front of the speaker face. That is not the intention of ours. We respect the chair. What we have done is, you all knew that both Lok Sabha TV and Rajya Sabha TV is completely controlled. They don't show the opposition protest or anything, whatever the opposition voice raised on behalf of the people, they are not showing it. So that is what we have done is strategically wherever the camera is showing, we shown the placard to towards the camera.
Ji, but you know it's a no. It is a no. I can understand that you feel that you want your voice heard and you believe your voice is not being heard. But there are rules and conventions of Parliament. My point to you, Jyotimani, is now the Parliamentary Affairs Minister on this program itself has said, Nirmala Sitharaman, Finance Minister, is back. We are ready to hold a debate on Monday itself. Will you now at least accept and end your protest?
What is rules and Rajdeep, let me. Rajdeep, tell me, what is the rules and convention? Do you think this government follow any rules and convention? See, there is a rules and convention in the parliament. Then Business Advisory Council meeting happened. The list of business has been decided that will be followed. If any bills tabled, the member of parliament has to be, we will be supposed to be known 2-3 days before. But this government is following the Business Advisory Committee list. When the people come to know about the bill, midnight, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, our whip calls us and wake us up. Tomorrow morning, your bill come. What kind of rules and regulation you are talking about? This government are actually serious about this rules and regulation. We are fighting for people issues, which is very, very important. So there is no rules and convention when it comes to people, because this government is really crushing them. People are really suffering due to price rise. We don't
you
need
made
to
that
tell
point.
this.
Okay,
Then
you
if
made that
opposition
point.
is
You're
not
claiming,
speaking, opposition is
you're
not
claiming
fighting
that
for
if the
people. What are we supposed to do then?
Okay, you're claiming you're raising public issues. Sushmita Dev, you know, this is not the first time, though, that Trinamool Congress finds itself in a way being under the eye of the scanner. Because the sense, Sushmita Dev, is now, it is now a tactic to in some way go into the well of the house, create a din, and in a way disrupt parliament. The public out there will see you as disruptors in session after session.
Rajdeep, let me tell you something.
Parliament will be far more unhappy, and I think disillusioned if members of Parliament sit inside Parliament not discussing what's ailing the nation. Today, to
go into the Parliament and
impact the nation in the common man is far worse. We are people who go to field. Everybody is telling us, let us do something about price rise. This government is getting us. But what is
But look at those pictures of tenor. But look at those pictures that you are tearing all the legislative papers. What do you expect the speaker to do?
Let me answer this picture point of. You keep showing those pictures of the placards and the protest, but please understand, what is worse is when a government sits on that side and continuously, repeatedly refuses us our right to debate important issues. There may not be a photographic depiction of that, but that is what that cannot happen in a parliamentary democracy.
Can I-
People don't think.
Okay,
Please understand. You are an experienced journalist. You know the way the parliament works. You can debate a bill and debate important issues like price rise at the same time. But they are not doing it.
Okay, let me stop you for a moment. Let me stop you to bring an experienced journalist, Rahul Srivastav, who's tracked Parliament for more than 3 decades. Rahul Srivastav, are we seeing parliamentary relations between the government and opposition reaching the point of no return? Is that what we are seeing, or is this Nele Pe Dela, that what was done to the Congress during the UPA years by the BJP, an entire session of Parliament was blocked during 2G. Now, session after session, opposition is looking for an opportunity to target this government.
You see, Rajdeep, if you look at what has been happening in Parliament, you know, when we talk about that the opposition is only interested in creating ruckus, that's a very little side of the story. The government only wants to pass legislation. That's one story. There is competitiveness, competitive politics. Politics which is there on the street is now inside Parliament. All these are, I think, the manifestations. I think these are symptoms we are looking at. I think after covering Parliament for almost 3 decades, I feel that the Parliament is caught between the tyranny of government's majority and the tyranny of the opposition's frustration, and also I think the anarchy. I think both sides don't want to talk. If you look at the history of Indian Parliament, Rajdeep, before 1978, the productivity of Parliament was always more than 100%. It is the 1978 onwards, then when the rise of the regional parties, the rise of the alternates to the Congress started coming in, you had problem. 1998 Vajpayee government, 2010 UPA government were the only 2 years since 1978 when you had more than 100% business. Vajpayee's 6 years had 90%, UPA's 10 years had 82%. Modi's years, first government after 30 years, a majority, 74% between 2014 to 21, and 2018, only 40%. This time around, only 20 to 25% business conducted in monsoon session. What is actually happening, Rajdeep? The problem is definitely one, I think the biggest problem is, one, the government as the facilitator. When Sushmita said that Parliament reflects the mood of the nation, no, it just doesn't do that. It is the only platform constitutionally mandated to hold the government accountable, Rajdeep. That is the key problem. Now, if there was to be a price debate, the government knows it, the opposition wants it. Why wait till 1 week of disruption? Why wasn't it decided in the all-party meeting? Look at England, look at UK, Canada. These are good democracies where 20 days each year out of the 110 days of business conducted in Parliament, every year is set aside for the issues opposition wants. Why
No,
can't
but
we
here
have
there's a
something
trust
like this?
deficit. No, because Rahul Srivastav, Pralhad Joshi told me on the show today that the opposition has not digested the fact that Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister and the BJP has a majority government. And the government, because of its majority, believes that they can do what they want.
Yes, Rajdeep, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's a tyranny of two kinds. The problem is that the opposition fears that if they help the government pass the legislations first, there will be no debate. The government fears that if there is a debate first, the opposition later will not let the legislation pass. It's a breakdown. I think it's too political in nature. Also remember, Rajdeep, when we talk about the decline of Parliament, it's the second story. The first story is the decline of the Member of Parliament. The rise of the regional players. There is not a MP's wish now which prevails in Parliament that I don't agree with this. I want to present this side of the story. He has a right to ask questions. But parties decide from sitting somewhere else that there is a destruct button now. It used to happen in BJP's time. Now it's happening in the Modi government's time. There is a destruct button now that go and destroy. So members of Parliament
there is a destructive
are herded
streak.
into it.
There is a destructive streak which is driven.
One little point, Rajdeep, I'd like to make here is very importantly, the anti-defection law has finished off the member's right to represent his will or the people's will. It is the parties which decide now where the MP is going. And that is why you find this herd mentality in which groups are now acting, demanding adjournments, Rajdeep. Do you know, I will give you interesting data. Since 2016, hundreds of adjournment motions have been submitted in Parliament. Not one has been allowed. That's perhaps the state of
Very interesting. From the times when adjournment motions were seen as the basis for debate in Parliament. Final word from you, Jyoti Mani. You heard Pralhad Joshi say you have not digested the fact that Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister. And therefore you are determined to not allow Parliament to function. What will you tell the Minister?
See, BJP is synonymous with lies, all I can say that. So why do we can't digest? Because he is the Prime Minister elected by the people. If we will remove him by going back to the people. That's what we are doing. See, Parliament is a forum to raise issues. Price rise is an important issue. GST is an important issue. We want to raise it in the Parliament. We have requested the government. Our floor leaders repeatedly went and reached out to the government, but they were not relenting. They kept on saying when the Finance Minister has to come. I would like to quickly make one point. When the agriculture bill issue happened, it was not the agriculture minister, it was defense minister who answered the Parliament. When the Rafale scam happened, it was the then defense minister Nirmala Sitharamanji was not answered the question. Late Mr. Arun Jaitley answered the Parliament. So this government has the past track record that actually generally the concerned minister actually very rarely answer in the Parliament.
So you have no faith in this government's
excuse. We are not accepting that.
Okay, very quickly therefore, Sushmita Sen, in conclusion, will you go back to Parliament on Monday? Your suspension is revoked. Are you ready for this debate on price rise or not?
We've been ready from the budget session where 27 days we were asking for it. And let me tell you something, Rajdeep. When the farm laws came, we protested. The same arguments came from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister and eventually the Prime Minister of India to himself repeal those acts. So please, listen to the opposition because it can be constructive and you can pick, there's something to learn there.
Okay.
You're debating two very short bills for over 3 days. That is a waste of taxpayers' money and I'm sure Rahul Srivastav will agree with what I have to say. We demand a debate on price rise and we demand that our suspension is revoked and we be allowed to participate. It's our right.
Okay, let me leave it there. Clearly, from the mood that is being reflected today, there is some hope that Parliament will be back to doing what it needs to do, which is to function by holding the government accountable and also pass legislation. That's what we want to see Rahul Srivastav, Jyoti Mani and Sushmita Dev. I called you Sushmita Sen. I'm sorry about that. I got that wrong. But thank you very much for joining me here on the news today. Okay, let's turn from there to the other big story, because round 3 of Congress President Sonia Gandhi's grilling by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with the National Herald case is over today. Sonia was quizzed by the central agency for 3 hours. The Congress is on the war path and came out all guns blazing once again. Congress MPs insist that they are not just protesting on Sonia Gandhi but also on price rise. But it is clear that for the last few days, Sonia's interrogation by the ED has been a galvanizing factor in this regard. Now, turning from there to the other big grilling that took place was in Bengal, where Partha Chatterjee, the minister, finds himself in more and more trouble. There, the ED now claims that they have tracked another money trail. Remember, the original was 21 crores that was found at a close aid, Arpita Mukherjee's residence, aid of the minister. Now, in another aid at Arpita's residence, ED officials claim they've deployed 4 cash counting machines to count the money seized. ED officials claim that the money counting procedure will continue until at least midnight. So clearly, more and more cash is being found with the Mukherjees at the moment. Now, all of this with the ED acting in double swift time comes with the Supreme Court having upheld today the Enforcement Directorate's powers to probe, summon and arrest anyone accused under the PMLA Act. The Apex Court has stated it is not mandatory for the ED to disclose the grounds of the arrest at any time of the detainment. It's a major order. Anisha Mathur explains it.
While the Enforcement Directorate has retained its extensive powers of inquiry, search and seizure and even attachment of assets, the court has noted that there are adequate safeguards in place within the Act itself which must be followed. The bench has also accepted the stringent bail provisions and said that it was within the power of the Parliament to reintroduce those stringent bail conditions even after the Supreme Court had struck them down in a previous judgment. Additionally, however, the court has noted that some of the complicated issues which have created confusion with regard to the procedures being followed and the manual of the ED could be considered by the ED and the government, and some of these questions could be answered by placing the documentation and the ED manual on the ED's website. The court has also noted that a large part of the PMLA provisions were brought in due to international obligations of the government of India with regard to financial crime, because this kind of offences have a direct impact on the financial stability of the country and of the world. In New Delhi, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
But there are several questions that remain unanswered. Are we giving overarching powers to the Enforcement Directorate? Will it be excessive powers that we have been given, where you don't even have to inform the person whom you are raiding what is the case against them, and the burden of proof is on the accused and not on the ED? Are we creating an agency now that can run rampant, or are we giving it the teeth to catch those who have this cash with them? Well, that's the big question I want to pose. Joining me now, Justice Santosh Hegde, former Supreme Court judge, joins me. Justice Hegde, this is a major order of the Supreme Court. How do you interpret it when it speaks about the constitutionality of the Enforcement Directorate's powers under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act? The court seems to suggest, Justice Hegde, there is nothing about the law that is unconstitutional, that the ED does not even need to be treated like a police authority that comes under the Criminal Procedure Court. Burden of proof on the accused. Do you believe this is the right approach that the court has taken, Justice Hegde, or are they giving excessive powers to one agency now?
According to me, the view is correct. There is nothing wrong with the view, taking into consideration the nature of offence involved in it. This is an act which prevents the use of any monetary consideration received in a crime. That itself is the offence, and if by utilizing that money or using it in any manner or participating in a crime which receives such money is an offence under the PML Act. That is Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Here is a case where a person utilizes the cash benefit he receives through himself directly or through some other source from a crime, he is being investigated by the Enforcement Directorate, who have been given certain special powers. It's unlike the most other crimes and all. This is something of much more severe consequences on the economy of the country. Apart from being, it is a product of crime, it is also avoiding taxation and in a manner encourages hoarding of money. Therefore, I think there are certain liberties should be given to the investigating agency. After all, what is the liberty given? One is to investigate without filing an FIR. That, according to me, does not violate the Article 21 or any other right of a person.
So
of course, burden of proof is a matter which is to be decided on the nature of crime. Therefore, I don't think the Supreme Court judgment is in any way wrong.
So you're saying that you believe that this judgment in a way affirms the constitutionality of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act and the powers bequeathed to the Enforcement Directorate. But there will be those, Justice Hegde, who will argue that only last week, another bench of the same Supreme Court warned against India turning into a police state, warned against arbitrary arrests, warned against the process being the punishment. Now we are giving excess powers, some would say, to the Enforcement Directorate to act against the so-called guilty, and that could lead to even more such cases of the process being the punishment.
Look, it is not the Supreme Court which has given them the ED the power to investigate, unlike other crimes and all. Look, let us look into the nature of the crime. Here we are dealing with benefit a person acquires from a crime, which will be separately dealt with. Now, so far as the person who comes under the investigation of the Enforcement Directorate is a person who receives the cash benefits or any material benefits which arises as a profit from a crime. Now, who knows more about it than the person who collects the money, from which source it has come, from which crime it has come? So far as it is not declared, then the ED gets the power to investigate even without registering an FIR, which is a statute. And this statute is not made by the Supreme Court, the statute is made by the legislature, whichever party which was in power at that point of time. Therefore, even the burden of proof, according to me, because of the facts of the case, unlike, let me take a case of murder. In a case of murder, it is clear that it is for the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt a crime has occurred. Yeah, but then the information, then the source of investigation will clearly show what is the participation of the accused in that. Here is a crime where a person receives certain money through underhand dealings and all by the different sources, which only the person who receives and the person sends has information about that. It is extremely difficult for the investigating agencies to find it. Normally it won't come through the bank transactions, and even where there is a accounting fraud and all, it is extremely difficult to find out. But a person who has the money in his possession definitely knows from which source it has come. That is why the Supreme Court must have come to the conclusion the burden of proof also lies on the person, provided, of course, the investigating agency proves that he was in possession of certain amount of money which is unaccounted.
Right.
Therefore, that is not a burden that will offend Article 21, nor with the right of the ED to investigate.
Sir, you're saying, therefore, right to life and liberty, Article 21 is not affected by these powers. But when I look at the data, the number of offences being registered under the PMLA has increased manifold over the last 5 years. But the conviction rate remains very low, barely 0.5% conviction rate. Should that not be a worry? You're arming an agency with all these powers. The court is validating it while the conviction rate remains low. This leads to the fear that the process can be the punishment and these powers can be used to settle scores, and it doesn't lead to conviction.
Look, Mr. Sardesai, if you look at the percentage of conviction in anti-corruption cases, also it's hardly 27%. But do you think in our country corruption has reduced? Or people involved in the corruption, their number has gone down? I do not know what's happening in the courts. Maybe the manner of investigation is so poor because people involved are so powerful that they are not getting conviction at all. But that definitely does not mean mere percentage of conviction leads to the conclusion that the investigating agencies either being partisan or frivolously filing the criminal complaints. And I'm sure if the courts are honest enough, they will come down heavily on matters which is a false case.
No, but this concern, sir, the concern over investigations turning out to be partisan, that is one of the criticism, that the ED now is using the PMLA, much like during Indira Gandhi's time, some of these laws like Misa Coffee Posa was used, some say, to settle political scores. The charge is the ED will use PMLA to settle political scores on behalf of the central government. Only opposition members of the government will get trapped in PMLA cases. Is that a valid criticism or not?
Well, Mr. Sardesai, this is an allegation which always comes from the opposition party. I am not saying that the ruling party has been very fair to the opposition and they have been investigating their own people in the culprits in their business. No, they have not been doing it so. But that has been what has been happening when any other party was in power also. They only attack the opposition. But Article 14 of discrimination does not apply in criminal cases. Of course, when they come to power, they'll do the same thing. That doesn't mean I won't do it against my own people, that I won't be doing it against you also. That is the equality doesn't apply that way.
No, sir, but the point...
Let the court decide whether it's right, and in a false case, court should come heavily on the prosecution.
In a false case, the court must come heavily against the prosecution. Are you saying that's the check and balance in the system? Do you believe that there are certain checks and balances other than that that could be brought in to avoid any potential abuse of power by this one agency, the Enforcement Directorate?
Well, I think that should be left to the investigating agency's honesty in the thing. If they are playing to the tune of their masters, they certainly should become brought into books by the courts, but not by a person who is accused of the crime. Because everybody can say, I belong to a political party which is not in power, therefore I am being prosecuted. That's exactly what is happening now. I'm not talking about whether there is prima facie case or not, because I'm not judging the matter, I don't have the material in it. But generally, every case filed against the political party which is not in power today are being defended on the ground it is a malicious prosecution. Let the court decide it, but don't prevent the matter from going to court. I know when they come back to power, they will do the same thing in regard to the party which is in power today, and they should do it. According to me, they should do it to everybody. But even if they're assuming, for argument's sake, they are partisan, then that is no ground to say that malicious prosecuting, false prosecution should be brought down heavily by the courts. But that can't be decided by the accused. You can't say merely because I'm the leader of an opposition party, I'm being harassed. Let the court decide it. Why can't how the people in the streets decide this, whether it's guilty or not? If that is done tomorrow, justice will be delivered in the streets. What I say is correct, then that has to be settled.
The question therefore is the judiciary non-partisan enough? Can it ensure action is taken against malicious prosecution if it is undertaken by an agency like the ED that now, as I said, has such wide-ranging powers, sir?
Well, I won't guarantee you that, but that doesn't mean the system is wrong. But people who are investigating the system or on the judicial side of it are not doing justice. You can't blame. That means everybody will say that no case under the ED against an opposition leader should be filed at all, because that's the defense. Let the matter go to court, and in our system, we presume that the judiciary is independent and is not controlled by a political party. Therefore, let them decide. Maybe that's the reason there's large number of acquittals are there.
Right. Can I?
But you can't decide it in the streets. I see it now. A party which is in power at the center today says the same thing when it comes to Andhra Pradesh, when it comes to West Bengal, when it comes to Tamil Nadu. They say the same thing, we are being persecuted. But they don't realize their own people are involved. And it's a known fact. I have seen in 5 years of my experience as Karnataka Lokayukta what corruption is. It has no religion. It has no political party. It has only one motive, that I must make money during my office.
Very, very strong words coming from you, Justice Hegde. I hope our political class is watching or listening. I must add, though, that since you mentioned Karnataka, sir, today it has a BJP government, and the accusation is therefore there is no ED action taken, while all the action focuses on the opposition ruled states from Bengal to Tamil Nadu.
But that can't stop investigation. That can't be an example for striking down investigations. No, that can be done only by courts.
Justice Hegde, always a pleasure talking to you. Nice to see you looking fit and well. Thank you so much for joining us. Plain speaking as ever, the money trail must be got, whether opposition or government, anyone under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act engaging in money laundering must be caught. But are sweeping powers the way forward? I leave it to you to judge. Let's take a break. On the other side is our good news segment. It comes today from Mumbai.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events, the true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter,
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
of those who should matter, I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth, on the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
You are watching India.
Welcome back. Let's come to tonight's Good News Today story, and it comes from Mumbai, where a rainwater harvesting campaign led by a citizen with the help of the BMC in Mumbai has struck a chord. Shubhajit Mukherjee is hopeful now that more citizens will join this unique drive. Tonight's Good News Today story.
Waterlogging takes a toll on the daily lives of people in Mumbai, especially during the monsoons. Now, a unique campaign to harvest rainwater has started in the city. This initiative by Shubhajit Mukherjee, with the help of the BMC, strives to end the water crisis in Mumbai. Borewell recharge system is being installed in places where rainwater can be used by water harvest machine.
समस्या ये नहीं है कि पानी की कमी है, मतलब एक चीज श्योर है कि पानी ठीक से मैनेज नहीं हुआ है। उसी को करने के लिए हमारी कोशिश है कि सब मिलके एक जन आंदोलन बनाया जाए, जिसमें हर इंसान अपने हिस्से का पानी बचाए और उसको अच्छे से मैनेज करे। और यही हमारी कोशिश है, ताकि लोगों को भगवान का दिया हुआ जो पानी जो फ्री है, उसको पानी पैसे देके ना खरीदना पड़े। बारिश के टाइम पे जो हमारे जान का और सामान का जो नुकसान होता है वो ना हो।
Shubhajit Mukherjee has been campaigning to save water for the last 10 years. He has installed borewell recharge systems in more than 1500 BMC gardens in Mumbai.
बोरवेल यानी ज़मीन के अंदर हम एक स्ट्रॉ लगा के पानी निकालते हैं और उसको इस्तेमाल करते हैं। वो स्ट्रॉ 300, 200, 300, 400 फीट तक नीचे जाता है। पंप के थ्रू पानी निकालते हैं और उसको हम लोग चाहे खेती के पर्पज़ से हो या हमारे बिल्डिंग में इस्तेमाल करने के लिए हो, उस पानी को इस्तेमाल करते हैं। पिछले 50 सालों में हमने सिर्फ बोरवेल बनाए हैं, उसमें से पानी निकाले हैं और उसको इस्तेमाल कर लिया है, लेकिन उसमें जमा नहीं किया। पूरे देश भर में 70% से ज़्यादा बोरवेल यानी भूजल, ग्राउंड वाटर जो हम अक्सर बोलते हैं, वो ख़त्म हो चुका है।
Subhajit hopes more people will come forward to join his campaign to save water. With Paras Dama, Bureau Report, India Today.
Our two images tonight. Our first one is cash, cash and more cash. If you thought that Bengal was a poor part of the country, look at this. Central agencies recovering more heaps of cash from Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee's aide Arpita Mukherjee's residence in Belgoria. The fresh haul is currently amounting to 20 crore rupees and counting. Remember, the last haul amounted to 21 crore rupees. We wonder what she was doing with all this money. And didn't she really have, where did she keep it? Because just look at those piles of cash that you're watching. So more cash seizures from Arpita's residence, staggering to see the kind of cash that she seemed to have. Our second image, while Ukraine is getting ravaged by war, bodies pile up and missiles rain over the nation, President Zelensky and First Lady Olena Zelensky have appeared on a fashion magazine with wartime themed pictures. The photo shoot has predictably sparked global outrage, calling the feature tone-deaf, insensitive and opportunistic. Zelensky seems to be losing some of his early charisma. Let's leave it there. As always, you stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubh Ratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
ये ई-स्पोर्ट्स का प्रीमियर लीग ESPL है।
ESPL registration has been finished.
रुको पापा, 1 मिनट।
बेटा या तो मोबाइल में गेम खेल ले या टीवी देख ले, ये सब नहीं चलेगा।
पापा ये चलेगा नहीं, दौड़ेगा। कुछ भी नहीं पापा। असली ESPL तो अब शुरू हो रहा है। 16 टीम, सारे टॉप प्लेयर्स, 1 करोड़ का प्राइस पूल, बिग स्टेडियम, ग्रैंड ESPL, और ऐसा कि इंडियन ई-स्पोर्ट्स में कभी हुआ ही नहीं। ESPL is back. Are you guys ready?
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
You are watching.
We are humbled by this achievement. It gives us a great sense of responsibility to do more for the country. That has now seeped into the institution. All faculty, staff, and students have this pursuit of excellence.
Eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation between two global superpowers. China warns the United States not to send US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan. Will the United States buckle under Chinese pressure, or will US stare the dragon down? The world watches. Join me, Gaurav Sawant, as I get you the latest on India First at 10 p.m. tonight, only on India Today.
Presented by Green Lamb Laminates, Har Gustakhi Saaf. Co-powered by If It's Important, Blue Dot It. In association with Hetic Fittings, make your furniture work beautifully. Offer pe offer, sirf Kalyan Jewelers mein.
Two superpowers in an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation. Dragon breathes fire over US House Speaker's Taiwan visit. China warns the US of consequences. Recently, China has made it clear to the US on many occasions that it is firmly opposed to Speaker Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. Will the US stare the dragon down? If US insists on going its own way, China will take strong measures to respond and counter resolutely.
I don't know what the status of it is.
Will Nancy Pelosi visit Taiwan now or back down? That's our top focus on India First. The dragon is breathing fire on Nancy Pelosi's proposed visit to Taiwan, warning the United States of serious consequences. But are these very typical Chinese bullying